When it comes to successfully managing diabetes, you know what? It is not just about knowing what are the best foods to control diabetes. It is more than that. Before even knowing what are the best foods, we will need to know what are our unhealthy cravings, and we will need to learn how to handle those cravings effectively. This is an important step. And in this video, we will be learning 5-step scientific process to handle those cravings effectively within just 21 days, and thus this will be the potential step to reverse diabetes, and this is going to be an incredible ride. Hello everyone, I'm Shubhavahini Sitaraman, a holistic wellness coach working on the mission to transform lives of diabetic. As a diabetes wellness coach, I get a lot of calls from people day in and day out, and you know what is the first question people will be asking me? They will be asking me for a diet chart. Give me a diet chart for my diabetes condition. But according to my experience, you know what I have seen? People will not be following the diet chart consistently. They may start, but they will just quit quickly, immediately. Or they will not be starting itself, they will be procrastinating it. Why these kind of responses I'm getting from people? When I was analyzing it, then I found out we will need to first see what is stopping them to get into the diet chart. The one and only thing, biggest challenge that is stopping them to get into the diet chart consistently is because of their craving for some of the foods. This is very important. Whenever we enjoy a favorite food, it is not just about the taste of the food, and also it is not just about the food that is saving a hunger. It is more than that. It is actually giving something to our mind. It is secreting some kind of hormones. Whenever we enjoy the food, that satisfaction is actually secreting our hormones in our brain, and that is why we are craving for those kind of food very frequently. Mostly we will be craving for foods which are starchy or sugary food, sugar, or we will be craving for something which is deep fried as well, deep fried oily stuff as well, or baked stuff, whatever it is. It is not healthy for diabetes, and we will need to first handle these cravings effectively. Unless and until we handle these cravings, we will not be able to get into the diet charts. And that is why the first step we will need to do is we will need to see what we can do to stop these cravings. I have 5-step process. This 5-step process, if you implement it, you will be able to successfully handle your cravings. Step number 1, we will need to understand what is the trigger for our craving. Most of the cases, the external triggers are very, very important when it comes to us for crave. And I always ask people to evaluate in 4W process. 4 W's are what, when, where, and who. And when it comes to what is actually triggering us to crave, that is very, very important. May it be the food or something like that which is actually making us to crave. And second one is when. We will need to evaluate this process. You know what? I'll give you my own example. During the day, I always start fresh. I start my day with vegetables, fruits, protein. My breakfast and lunch will be very healthy. When I progress to the evening, I start craving. The evenings are the time I always crave for. So when I know evenings are the time I crave for, then we can plan accordingly. And that is why we will need to understand when portion of our trigger. And the third one is where. Whenever I go out for programs or workshops, when I'm involved completely into the activity, what I'm doing, when I'm enjoying what I'm doing, even whatever I love the most, the sweets, cake, whatever it is, if they offer me, I will not touch them. I will never be feeling craving for that. But if I'm sitting here in my home office and if I'm working very sincerely, then I will crave for something. So this place, the home office is also a trigger for me. So we will need to understand the place. Where is the craving trigger for us. And who, the fourth one is who. That is also very important factor, because we know all the bad habits. Where do we learn from? If people are learning to smoke, where do they learn from? From their friends. Their friends are the very, very important people. They will be, or somebody, the people who influences us for bad habits is very important. We will need to understand if there is someone. So these are the 4W process to identify your trigger. Do this: what, where, when, and who. Just understand this. This is very, very important. Step number 2 is declutter. It's a very, very powerful step, but very difficult step to do. Yes, I'm telling you, this is very, very difficult step. You know what to declutter? We identified our trigger, right? From where, when, who, what, everything. We will need to declutter everything. We will need to just get into our home and find out what we want to avoid. For example, if it is sweets, if it is some kind of food that we will need to avoid, we will need to just pick those foods and we will need to throw it out, or just get that out, right? And if it is people who is actually triggering you, we will need to get those people and we will need to push them away. Stay away from them, at least whenever you're going for eating with them. And if it is the place, whatever, wherever you're sitting, and just declutter those places. Just change your office with some of the important points that you want to trigger your mind. So decluttering, that means taking the bad out from what, when, who, where. This is the second point what we will need to do. Step number 3, replace with healthier alternatives. How are we going to replace the healthier alternatives? Fill your home, fill your shelf with good snacks, healthy snacks, good options. And what I was doing is, I was telling you, evening was the time I started feeling too much of craving for sweets and all. I just wanted to stop that habit and I want to create a healthy snacking habit. So what I did is, I filled my house with a lot of vegetables, nuts, seeds, all those. And whenever I'm feeling craving, I just go to my kitchen, I take one carrot, grate it, have it just like that, right? So we will need to fill our house with the healthier alternatives. That is the step number 3. Step number 4, do not rush. This is very, very important point we will need to keep in mind. What happens is, people, while they are feeling excited about, they just change the entire habit all of the sudden, but that creates a stress in their mind. So what we will need to do is, we should not be going in a drastic change immediately. We will need to go in a slow and steady phase. Whenever we are making changes, we will need to be slow and steady. I always tell this point, we are not going on a race. Diabetes reversal is not going on a race. It is a marathon. We will need to be consistent. Whatever changes, small little changes we are going to make, we will need to be consistent on those small little changes. For a long run, those small little changes will pay a huge for us. So do not rush to make big changes in your life. Make it small and steady and consistent. That will actually give you lot of big results. Step number 5, seek support and accountability. It's very important. Most of the time, we should take accountable for our own craving kind of emotional stuff within inside. When we are deep rooted within ourselves with some of the food cravings, it is very difficult for us to do it on our own, solely on our own. So we will need to take support of people. May that accountable partner of yours be in your home, like your spouse or your children or your parents. You can tell them, from now I'm not going to have unhealthy snacks. Something like that. Whatever you're going to commit, just speak out openly to your people. Maybe your family, your friends, or your social media. You can also, if you are a social media kind of a person, you can just put it in your social media saying like, I'm going to start this, and make the public accountable for that. And if you want to take support and accountability from experts, you can join in some of the diabetes reversal communities, and by this you can fast track your result, and you can just get into the speed and get the result as early as possible. These are the 5-step process, and if you can follow one small thing for 21 days, and that will be your success. 21 days consistently, if you can follow one small change, and that is going to give you a drastic and big result. I hope this video was helpful for you. To have more such information about diabetes and managing diabetes effectively, you can follow me on my YouTube channel, and also you can join my upcoming webinar to see what we are doing and how my community is transforming their life. Thank you.